Hello, I'm Gary Gilmore. I'm the administrator for Africa Missions. I'm from the U.S. and I've come to work with my very close friend of over 30 years, Ron Kinnear, who is the founder and the CEO of Africa Missions.
I'm so glad to be with Gary today. Judy and Gary are invaluable as staff members, and I trust that this interview is going to be interesting for myself as well as for the viewers.
So I wanted to ask you about love in connection with Africa Missions. 2 Corinthians says, the love of Christ compels us. Explain to me in just a few words, if you can, how that compelling love of Christ forced you, as it were, into mission work.
That is a very big question.
Take your time then.
When Christ saves anybody, that person discovers that it was the love of God that drew him. It's unmerited favor. It's not something that we could earn or deserve. And when we respond to the love of God, then we find that we could love him because he first loved us. When a person gets saved, you realize that the world needs Christ as much as you needed him. And I lived in blindness, thinking that I was religious, earning my way to heaven. And then on a given day, the Lord saved me and transformed me completely into his likeness. And when I became a Christian, I also sensed that I had a call of God upon my life. And love is interesting because in my former life, before my conversion, I grew up in an apartheid South Africa and was extremely intolerant of other racial groups. But when I got saved, all of a sudden that changed completely. And I realized that they were in my future, people of a different color. I couldn't define that. I did not know about ministry. I did not know about preaching. All I knew is that I had a new life. The old things have passed away, and in this new life, I looked at people totally different.
Ron, this change from apartheid to loving the black people, was this gradual, or was it overnight? How did that come about?
It was overnight, to use your words. When I discovered that I was changed, I had new values, and in that new value system, there was a love for people that I never had before.
So I know that you pastored churches, you planted churches, but at some point, the Lord changed you from churches. He redirected the love of Christ that was compelling you to serve him from pastoring churches into reaching into Africa. When did that change come, and how did it come?
I always had a call to missions, and it found expression in different ways. The denomination that I belonged to did not have a missions program and did not train missionaries. So I got traditional pastoral training and ended up pastoring 2 churches. And during that time, I also reached out into other communities and planted churches in other communities.
But now you mean, when you say other communities, you mean other than white communities? You're talking about the colored people, which were the
Right.
mixture. For those from America that don't understand, colored is a word that we don't use in America because it's not PC correct. But here, colored means a combination of black and white, as opposed to white and black. And then there was the Indian population. So when you say other communities, then you're talking about other than white.
Yes.
Okay.
I planted a church among a black community, or in a black community, before I went to Bible college. I planted a colour church while I was at Bible college. And while I was busy planting a white English-speaking church in Pretoria, I also planted a church among the Indians. Just believing that that is what I had to do. But it was in my second assignment in Cape Town where I was pastoring a church. And there I had a missions program. I reached out and helped build churches for congregations in other communities, and had a good rapport and a good relationship with pastors in those communities. But I felt unfulfilled. I felt that I was enjoying the pastoral ministry and I was enjoying working with people, but inside of me I felt that there was more God wanted to do through me. And one evening when I garaged the motor car, I spoke to the Lord, said to him that I feel unfulfilled, and unless I could reach out and win 10,000 souls beyond the borders of a local church, I would feel my life was wasted. And I didn't want to waste his time, I didn't want to waste my time. And if that couldn't be fulfilled in me, that I should rather die and go to heaven. And it's a stupid prayer, I know, because I had a lovely wife and 2 children, 2 little girls in the house next door to the garage. But there was something in me that was just crying out for more in God. And about 2 weeks later, I got the opportunity of entering into a new ministry, and they called me a missionary. And then my life started blossoming. And I must add this, that I have been rebuked, and I have rebuked myself several times for being, oh ye of little faith. Because I thought 10,000 souls were a high mountain that needed to be conquered. And today, compared to what God has done through our ministry, it looks like a little molehill by comparison. But that's where the passion came from.
So you started with a desire for 10,000, and in the weeks to come, when we get together like this, we're going to talk about how you won more than 10,000, because the official count now is somewhere way over 170,000. And we'll identify what kind of Christians those are, not just the kind that raise their hand, but and you've gone almost to Cairo, which was your prayer, from Cape Town to Cairo. So in the weeks to come, we want to talk about some of those things, and we want you to tune in and listen to this. We also want to talk about your faith. You said, "Oh, ye of little faith." But I think that as the people are listening and watching, they're going to say, wow, if he considers that little faith, what kind of faith do I have? So we'll have the opportunity to encourage our listeners, our viewers, how to increase their faith and how to step out in their faith. And so we want to share some of those stories with them in the future. We understand that not everybody has the passion or the calling for missions as you do, and they can't just get up and leave their workplace, but they can help. They can help with praying, and they can help with supporting. And so we want you viewers to check in again with us, hear some of these wonderful stories. But if you're one of those people who don't have a call of missions on your life, but you want to help those who do have a call of missions, then we want you to notice on the bottom of your screen is our website, and that will tell you how you can help. Because just $1, $2, a rand, 2 rand, whatever country you're in, pushes the gospel so much further. And this man knows how to knows, as we say in America, knows how to squeeze a buffalo nickel until the buffalo squeals. So he knows how to get more than a nickel's worth out of every nickel. So you can be sure that every dollar, every $5, every rand that you send is going farther and further than you can imagine. So just tune in days to come for some thrilling stories, because this man is full of faith-filled stories. And also check out our website, see our newsletters, see who we are, what we're all about, and join us in prayer and in taking the gospel through Africa to Cairo.
Amen.